What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. And guess what? I'm joined by none other than Michael Darcy from the KC Sports Report to talk Chiefs today. Michael, what's going on, man?
I'm doing fantastic. We're getting one day closer to the AFC Championship game, but I'm also nervous. But
As am I. But today, Michael, I just wanted to go over some Chiefs injury news with you and get your thoughts and opinions on everything. We got some injury updates from Andy Reid today, and we got our first look at Patrick Mahomes moving around since the ankle injury that he sustained against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But Andy Reid opened up today by saying, yeah, he's going to go, he's going to play. And then Patrick Mahomes also spoke to the media today. He said, I'll be ready to go for sure. And he also said that the turf toe injury was the toughest that he played through, and that he had to curl his toes when he walked, and that this ankle injury is actually not. I mean, people have been alluding to this before. Patrick Mahomes basically told everybody, but Patrick Mahomes basically confirmed it today. Like, yeah, this one's not as bad as some of the other injuries I've had, which is really good news. And also, I saw one of Patrick Mahomes's, I think it's one of his trainers, Bobby Stroop. He tweeted something jabbing at Tony Romo because Tony Romo said on the broadcast during the games last weekend or this past weekend that Patrick Mahomes would be in crutches by Wednesday. And guess what? It's Wednesday, and Patrick Mahomes is jogging around on the practice field. So, Michael, I'm sure you saw some of the videos and Patrick Mahomes moving around and stretching a little bit, and he walked off the podium, and the cameras were zoomed in on his legs as he was walking down the steps. What do you take from all of that, and how are you feeling? Did anything that happened today maybe change your thoughts or your confidence in Patrick Mahomes' ability to play this weekend?
honestly, maybe this is not the right answer. But after he suffered that injury, I kind of didn't expect anything to change. Like, Patrick Mahomes defies the odds. He always finds a way to play. And I think that I definitely didn't believe that he was going to be this healthy. But the fact that he's going to not only play in this game, but probably be around 80 to 85%, I think is really important for this Chiefs team. One thing that I found interesting is he was talking about the turf toe being his worst injury. If you remember when he had the turf toe in that Bills game back in 2020, sure didn't bother him. That Chiefs offense did really well in that game. And honestly, I kind of have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was the benefit of maybe saying and showing the public that, oh, he is okay? What if the Chiefs kind of played a little bit mysterious and just kind of had him say, like, yeah, like, it's really bothering me, just to blow smoke to the Bengals, maybe think, oh, like, they might have to see Chad Henne, and then Mahomes comes jogging out like nothing's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes Andy Reid has done that before. A lot of coaches do that, where it's like a player will be hurt and they kind of allude to maybe a different player stepping up in their place or something like that. And yeah, if you're the Chiefs, then you maybe want to make the Bengals waste time on preparing for Chad Henne. But to answer that specific question about this scenario, I mean, it's Chad Henne. It's not like – I mean, like, yes, I'm sure the Bengals are actually already preparing for Chad Henne, to be honest, because there is that possibility that Mahomes could get re-injured in this game or just doesn't look very good or just something happens. So I'm sure the Bengals are already preparing for that. But also, it's like, if you're the Chiefs, you got nothing to hide. Everyone knows it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Everyone knew it was going to be Patrick Mahomes playing this weekend. They can say whatever they want. I think the Bengals are probably smart enough to see through that as well. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
I think the only way that would have probably worked is if he missed the second half of the divisional. If he did that and it was like, yeah, this ankle is just not healing, that would get the Bengals, I think. But since he played the second half and still looked okay, I think the Bengals are like, okay, he's coming off of 7 days of rest, maybe 8 days. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And the funny thing is, like with Chad Henne too, there is actually, because with most backup quarterbacks, there's not like a ton of film to watch on them. You actually, Chad Henne, he played in the divisional round It's not much, but you do have a 98-yard touchdown drive to kind of analyze. But I mean, if it was Chad Henne out there orchestrating the offense, I think the Bengals kind of know what is coming. The Chiefs would probably run the ball a lot of quick passes. They're not going to rely on Chad Henne's arm a lot. The dude is 37 years old. He has more career interceptions than touchdown passes. So that's kind of why I kind of brushed off oh yeah, maybe we could do this thing where the Bengals have to prepare for Chad Henne. It's yeah, but it's Chad Henne. If I'm the Bengals, I'm not that worried. I'm not saying the Chiefs can't put together a good game plan if it had to be Chad Henne, but it's whatever. Anyway, the cool thing, Patrick Mahomes not only practiced today, he was listed as a full participant. And me and you talked about the possibility of maybe him even missing basically all of practice this week and just going through walkthroughs and then playing. But no, full participant. He went through drills. He's throwing the ball around. He is running around. So what do you think about that?
It's incredible that he is already back on the field and doing all that he is. I mean, that video of him jogging, I remember seeing somebody say, I can't tell if he's jogging or he's walking. It all looks the same. But I do think that it's encouraging. I don't think it would have hurt to sit out an extra day, but clearly Andy Reid knows that he's good to go, because if there was any doubt in the coaching staff's mind that maybe he's a little iffy, they wouldn't play him. They wouldn't practice him. I think that he definitely is ahead of schedule. It must not have been that bad. It looked very gruesome on TV, but I think that tape and that cortisone shot, that'll make you feel better.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's amazing that he was a full participant. And it's interesting when you kind of sit back and think about things. It's still only Wednesday, and Patrick Mahomes is running around he doesn't even hurt. Now, I'm sure he's still experiencing pain and everything like that, and it's not 100%. But we still have – I mean, and after practice today, he was in the trainer's room getting worked on. He is they even said today, I forget if it was Andy Reid or Mahomes himself that said this, that Mahomes has barely spent any time at home this week unless it's been going home to go to bed, because he's been in that trainer's room getting his ankle worked on basically 24/7. And after practice today, that was the case. But, I mean, it's Wednesday. He had after practice today. You still got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for him to heal up and get that ankle work done. So it was also huge to have the AFC divisional round be on Saturday when the injury happened, because he also had Sunday off too. Whereas maybe on another weekend, the Chiefs would have been playing on Sunday and you have less time to heal. So I really think this injury management could not have gone better for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Or God forbid they play it on Monday night like the Cowboys and the Buccaneers did. That would be even worse. But yeah, I think that the Chiefs got really fortunate in a variety of ways that it wasn't as serious as it led on to be, that Patrick Mahomes just has one of the craziest, but that sounds a little weird. He's just he's very good at overcoming injuries in a very quick amount of time. We saw it even in 2020 with the turf toe and the neck injury. Well, the neck/concussion injury. One thing I think is funny is if that concussion thing happened this year, I don't think he gets allowed to come back. They might have the Tua rule in place, but the fact that he was able to overcome that quickly is crazy.
Yeah, you mean the one that he had in the Cleveland divisional game a couple years ago? Well, because that one was kind of weird, because that was never actually considered a concussion. It was a neck injury.
They did the same thing to Tua, though. Remember that this year?
Yeah. But I genuinely think that was just the Dolphins, just incompetent or just lying because they wanted Tua to be on the field so bad. I really don't think Patrick Mahomes sustained a concussion. I think he actually had a neck injury. But you're right. With what happened to Tua, I think everyone would be their eyes would be glued to that situation and be oh, Patrick Mahomes can't play, or just there would be so much attention to it.
Yeah, I honestly, now that I think about it, it probably was a concussion, because I know that it's listed as a neck injury, but if you kind of watch the way that he got up, it's he was not all there right away, but it's all right. It ended up working out well for us.
Yeah, and this is a little bit more of a rabbit hole that we don't really have time to go down, but he technically, I mean, he passed concussion protocol. He had to have passed concussion protocol in order to play in the next game. But also, if you're the NFL, this is Patrick Mahomes. If there's ever a time you're going to bend the concussion protocol rules, it's with Patrick Mahomes. But,
I've also heard the concussion protocol rule is what day is it? who's the president? All right, you're good to go. Like it's
Yeah.
it's like two questions that they ask you and you're good to go. But getting back to this
Yeah, I'm
current
sure.
Patrick Mahomes
Well, real
injury.
quick, I'm sure there's even some players they ask them who's the president, and they go Donald Trump, or they just like they forgot who just got elected, and they're like, oh yeah, I get enough answer. You
Yes.
can go back on the field.
He's in the last 10 years. That's good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to this injury, it is very remarkable that he's a full participant in practice just days after it happened. And I think that you still have to be careful with that ankle, but the way that Patrick Mahomes is wired, he's not the sit on the sidelines kind of guy. He was going to find a way to practice. He's going to find a way to play. It's in his DNA. It's who he is.
For sure. I really wanted to touch on that since this is the first time we got to see him and hear from him since the injury, really, besides after the game against the Jaguars. But yeah, that's all. Do you have anything else to add to that? Otherwise, I'm just going to move on to other tidbits from today.
No, it's a great sign, and hopefully he's good to go on Sunday.
Yep, for sure. All right, so next one. This I'm getting from by Nate Taylor. Nate Taylor, who writes for The Athletic for the Chiefs. He said, Andy Reid said it's looking like Jody Fortson has a greater chance over Clyde Edwards-Helaire of being added to the active roster for Sunday's game. So Jody Fortson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire were both previously on IR. Their 21-day practice window has been open. I know this can get a little confusing. So they're not on the active roster right now. They aren't activated off IR either, but they're able to practice. They opened the practice window, and there's no injury designation for them since they're still technically on IR, but they're practicing. Andy Reid said it looks like Jody Fortson has a good chance to be activated. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not so much. I'm just going to go with you first, Michael. What are your thoughts on those two injuries? And I mean, what do you think the impact could be? Or do you have a preference on which one you would like to come back?
I think for the football politics, it's probably good that Jody Fortson comes back because Clyde, I mean, he suffered that high ankle sprain, which is what Mahomes had, and he missed a lot more time. Granted, there's severity and different kinds of sprains.
That and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a running back, and he's a small running back at that just relies so much on using his legs that if he has a high ankle sprain, he's basically useless.
Yeah, and he's sustaining a lot more hits, and it probably was a worse high ankle sprain. But, I think Jody Fortson in this, like having him in this game would be very key in the red zone if they decide to go back to him right away. I just think at this point in the season, what could Clyde give you that McKinnon and Pacheco can't? Like, there's nothing that Clyde offers that is unique to where you can give him a roster spot. I think Jody Fortson, at least, this is messed up, but his size is more valuable than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, just having a 6'6", or is he even like 6'7"? Like, he's a big man. Like, have Jody Fortson out there running routes and have him as a red zone target because the Chiefs are going to need a couple of those guys in the red zone, and he's proven to be a viable threat in this offensive system.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that big frame. You can take advantage of it, especially in the red zone. The Chiefs' red zone offense struggled this is where I'll give Clyde Edwards-Helaire a little bit of credit. He was effective in the red zone earlier this season. Maybe that was just an anomaly and not something that was ever going to be sustainable with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But we do know Jody Fortson has a long history of just catching touchdown passes at this point. And McCole Hardman was also a big red zone threat for this Chiefs offense, and we're going to talk about him in a couple minutes. But yeah, Jody Fortson, he also has the capability of going out there and throwing blocks. And also, if Jody Fortson is to be activated for this game, it'll be the first time this season that the Chiefs have all four tight ends active and healthy for a game because Blake Bell, he was not around for most of this season. He's finally back. So to have all four of your tight ends, I think that would be really beneficial. You could run more 13 personnel and two tight end sets and stuff like that, especially when you're trying to run the ball or again in the red zone. Like, I think that would be very effective. I think there's so many more positives to Jody Fortson coming back as where Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you don't know what he's going to look like. He would take time to get back integrated into this offense. Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon are like on fire right now. I just don't think there's any reason to take snaps from those guys. The only scenario in which Clyde Edwards-Helaire should be activated, in my opinion, is if you're just having him as an emergency back. If he's just, I guess, above Ronald Jones on the depth chart. And it's not like Ronald Jones is going to be getting any meaningful carries really in this game. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't think CEH really gives you anything at this point. I think Jody Fortson does. And I think this news is probably the best case scenario for the Chiefs.
Even having Jody Fortson as a blocker on third down for Mahomes, Clyde was not a great running or blocking back. He just wasn't. He couldn't really pick up the blitz. McKinnon
just doesn't have the size for it. I mean, it's kind of like that thing we did with Darwin Thompson whenever he was here, kind of fighting for a roster spot for those couple of seasons. It's like he just can't pass protect because he's too small. Like he can do anything he wants, and the effort is there, but man, he doesn't have the size for it.
And it sucks, but that's just the harsh reality of the situation. He's not useful for the Chiefs right now. I'm sure that he can go somewhere else and find some snaps and playing time, but I just don't think that's right here, right now for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you wanted to add to Fortson and CEH?
Nope. I think that Fortson should be the guy that gets the call, and Clyde is the absolute worst case scenario.
I agree. All right, so I think this one is probably the most intriguing. I think with Patrick Mahomes, we kind of knew what the case was. We agree with the whole Jody Fortson and CEH thing, but McCole Hardman, someone that we did a video yesterday, and I said, hey, I don't think McCole's going to be healthy enough to play in this one. It's not looking good, but he came back today. Andy Reid said there's a very good chance that he plays in this one, and he's a limited participant today, which is a step up from last week. I don't think he practiced at all, actually. And I'll go ahead and give him a shout out. Braden Turner at bturner23 on Twitter. Let's hope his report is accurate. He says that he knows someone close to McCole Hardman and that they said they expect McCole to be ready to go this Sunday. I actually got his tweet in front of me. He said, this is his exact words, from talking to someone close to McCole, he'll be ready to go Sunday night against the Bengals. So, Michael, assuming this is true and McCole is able to come back, how effective do you expect him to be? And how do you – this is an addition we didn't see coming. Like, how do you think this can help the Chiefs?
Honestly, not to knock Braden Turner. I've met him in person. He's a great guy. Love B-Turn. Not sure if I buy any of that. Andy Reid's words, in my opinion, are much more comforting that he has a chance to play in this game. But to answer your initial question, I think that McCole Hardman, it took when did he go out after the Niners game and he's had that abdomen injury the entire time?
It was a little bit later than that. But yeah, he's been on IR for a while.
So I think it's unlikely that he comes in this game and has an immediate impact. He's probably just going to be a body. I wouldn't even – maybe you do a double around jet sweep and have Kadarius Toney being the guy that actually gets the ball, but McCole Hardman's going to bring a defender with him. I think he's going to be used as a decoy if he plays at all.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wondered when I saw his tweet. I'm thinking, well, when he says that, do we mean good to go as in he's going to suit up, he's there just in case they need him, or like we're going to get the real McCole back? And I saw some Chiefs fans kind of on the timeline today saying, this isn't a big deal. They don't really need McCole Hardman. You've got a guy in Kadarius Toney that is basically McCole Hardman but does everything better. And while I agree that Kadarius Toney is the better receiver, he's the more complete receiver, he's better, it doesn't hurt to have McCole Hardman out there because, like you said, you could have him as a decoy. We also haven't seen Kadarius Toney and McCole Hardman on the field at the same time yet. Having both of those guys out there, man, you're going to have that Bengals defense really guessing. And McCole is another guy that can keep you guessing, and you have to take him seriously as a deep threat. And like I said, this red zone offense has struggled at times without McCole Hardman. He also had a big postseason last year, and it's not unreasonable to think that he can make some big plays in this postseason. Just those gadget plays or those throws underneath that McCole could take 30 or 40 yards and potentially score with it. And McCole Hardman is similar to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in that they both have been really frustrating players for the majority of their time in Kansas City. But with McCole Hardman, at least you have that potential for a big play. Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't really bring you any big play potential. He has a career long of 50 yards, and that didn't even come until this year, his third year in the league. He's not a guy that's going to break off long runs. McCole Hardman, he could get you a 50-yard catch in a blink. Like that big play potential is there, and I think it's all hands on deck this week for this game against the Bengals. I don't think there's any harm in Mecole Hardman being back at practice and potentially playing this game, no matter how many snaps he plays. I think you need him for this game. I do. I think everyone on this team, on this offense that is active and healthy right now, they have a role to play, and Mecole Hardman goes into that.
I just don't know how useful he's going to be. That's my question because, yeah, he might play in this game, but kind of like you said, he might just be a body. He might just be somebody that is on the field to run around and distract Bengals players and maybe open up the field for like Travis Kelce or Kadarius Toney or maybe MVS over the middle. I don't know if Mecole Hardman, given the fact that he's missed a lot of time with his abdomen injury. And I will say, working in the tunnel at Arrowhead, I have a chance to see a lot of these players when they come in. And he would come in later than a lot of the other players, which made sense. But like he'd come in like right as game time would start, which would kind of throw me off. But I mean, he was walking fine. He was in good spirits, but I don't know if that equates to strapping on the helmet and going out there and taking hits again.
Yeah, we won't know until he hits the field. I do think he has a good chance to play, though, just because of how much time he's actually had off at this point. They thought that he was going to play against the Raiders in the last regular season game. And then, or I think, no, he was active for the Raiders game, actually. I think he barely played, if at all, but he was on the sidelines for that game, if I'm not mistaken. Then, for the Jaguars game, he suffered a setback and didn't even practice the week of the Jaguars game, despite the fact that they had a bye week, which I found strange. I mean, I'm not an expert on his injury. I'm sure there's reasons for that happening, but man, that was tough. But at this point, he was on IR for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. He got brought off. He's been on the sidelines now for a few weeks. He's had a lot of time off. And if this abdomen injury still keeps him out of this game, I almost wonder if the Chiefs should have just opted for him to get surgery.
Yeah, I almost wonder what happened to his abdomen. It must have taken a hit or something along those lines where he sustained some pretty brutal contact to it, because I've never heard of an abdomen injury keeping a player out this long. Or if it is, it's because he's done for the season.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like those core injuries that they usually require surgery. And then I know Eric Fisher had something similar the beginning of the 2019 season. He was out for like 4 weeks or something like that. And he came back, but he got surgery. So like the Chiefs knew that he would be out for a little bit, but like they planned ahead and everything. With Mecole Hardman, it seems like they thought it wouldn't be that bad, opted not to get surgery, and now they're finding out, hey, maybe we probably should have done surgery.
Yeah, but I do think that Mecole is going to try his best to play in this game. He might not be great. He might be a detriment, but I think that he's going to want to put the pads on because it's an AFC championship game. A chance of the Super Bowl is on the line, and he's going to try to play in this game regardless of how he's feeling, and I respect that. But at the same time, I don't know if it's going to be useful having him in the field.
I'll say this. If he can just run fast like he's good at doing, he will be useful in this game. Like you said, even if it's just as a decoy, Mecole, just go out there and run a vertical. That's fine. Just have Mecole go out there, run a go route, and hand the ball to Kadarius Toney. I'm fine with that.
Or wait and see how that go route goes. Maybe he's open, and maybe he breaks the game open. We don't know. I doubt, though, that first week coming back, it's like, okay, Pat's got a bum ankle right now. Travis Kelce, you've been doing good, but we want to go with Mecole for the game plan here. I don't think that's the strategy, but I really do wonder, because not trying to go too off topic, but they asked Juju what he thought of the offensive game plan, and he kind of smiled and he goes, I like it a lot. So I wonder what exactly that means in terms of how they're going to attack the Bengals, or if
Toney season. That's what he means. He means it's Toney season.
Maybe. I mean, I think speed is ultimately the key, and having Mecole Hardman in this game would definitely not hurt at all.
Yeah, he also beat Mike Hilton on a deep pass when the Chiefs played the Bengals earlier this season in the regular season. So, that big play potential is there that I was talking about. And if you can get any of that out of Mecole Hardman, he's going to be useful in this game. I think we can agree we don't know how much he's going to play, how effective he's going to be, but I think we both agree that if he is healthy enough to go out there, he's going to be useful for this offense, for this team.
100%, but I also don't. I think there's a better chance. I think there's a better chance that he doesn't play than if he does play, him not being used. You know what I mean? I think if he misses time, well, if he doesn't, I think there's a better chance of him not playing in this game than if he does play to not contribute. He's going to contribute if he plays.
And I think also we'll have to watch the injury designation at practice this week. If he's a limited participant all week, I think that'll probably tell you he's going to have a very limited role, if any, in this game. If he becomes a full participant at any point this week, I think that'll be a little bit more telling.
And my mind's gone all over the place during this podcast and kind of with deception, like, oh, what if this guy can't play for this reason? And you make the team believe it. Do you have to be transparent on those reports?
Not necessarily.
Okay, because
you can't, you can't straight up lie and be like, oh yeah, Patrick Mahomes is dealing with a torn Achilles, but like you don't have to be transparent and be like, here's the complete transparent health status of said player.
I wonder if they're doing anything about Mecole Hardman with that.
Maybe we'll see.
Because
I said, he's been out a long time. He's taken a lot of time off.
Yeah, and I guarantee you that, the Bengals defensive coordinator is like, oh, we don't really want this guy to play.
Yeah. It's all hands on deck this week.
Exactly. And hopefully he can join us, but, I think at the end of the day, even if he does, he's not going to have this giant role in the offense. But hey, I would say Mecole.
It's not like he ever did.
Mecole. Yeah.
It's not like he ever did to begin with.
He was catching some good balls down the stretch, though. He was starting to heat up this season, but couldn't stay healthy.
Yep. I feel bad for him because, I have always been super frustrated with Mecole, and I've always wanted to replace the guy with the next best thing. But, as we've gotten deeper into his Chiefs tenure, I do have an appreciation for him because he can flip a game. He has that ability. And yeah, he's going to be frustrating for 75% of the time, but that 25%, what he can do for you, whether it's like a big touchdown catch or a handoff that he takes for 50 yards, it's worth it to me. I think you need that.
Yeah, it almost begs the question after this season when he's a free agent, do you bring him back? Do you give him $10 million a year?
Yeah, well, because his estimated value on Spot Track right now, I think, is $11 million per year. Especially with this injury, I don't think he'll see anything close to that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some team will overpay him, but there might be the possibility that the Chiefs can bring him back next year. Now, maybe they don't because they want to use as much money as possible for Juju, and they got Kadarius Toney for another 3 years under contract, and he's basically kind of the same player at this point. So I don't know. We'll see. That'll be more talk for the offseason.
For sure.
But yeah, Michael, that's all we got as far as injury updates and stuff like that. Nobody else had an injury designation today. So that's all we got, unless you wanted to add anything.
No, I think that all the news was good news. Patrick Mahomes is back at practice. Jody Fortson or Clyde could come back. And the fact that Mecole Hardman could play in this game is good news as well.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all we got again. But before we wrap up, Michael, let everyone know, where can they find you on here?
Super quick, guys. You guys can find me on YouTube. That's just at KC Sports Report. The website's kcsportsreport.com. And the social medias, Instagram, KC_Sports Report, and Twitter at KC Sports Report.
All right, sounds good. Make sure you guys check all that stuff out. I will link his stuff in the description as always. With all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. And we will see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!